What's up? It's your boy back at it again with another video in the series we call Underrated Throwers. Today we're doing a very special one. Reese Hoffa. I don't think he should be underrated. I don't know if he is, but in my opinion, he's very underrated. Especially nowadays. He was probably, he was one of three. The others being Adam Nelson and Christian Cantwell, aka the big three that really dominated this the mid to late 2000s. They would consistently medal at major comps, either winning or getting silver or bronze. Reese Hoffa is the 2007 world champ in Osaka, 2012 Olympic bronze medalist in London, countless other medals, has a lot of throws over 22. His PR is 22.43, which is still top 25 in history, and he's probably one of the most consistent throwers ever. And in my opinion, it's very sad to say, I think he's underrated nowadays. Now, I hope I'm wrong, but he does one thing that I really only have seen one other thrower kind of do, but not to this extent, and that's Robert Harding in discus. And that's how he turns out the back with his left foot, and he kind of does like a little hammer heel turn, which I've never seen anybody do. And I think I read somewhere that it's just a natural thing he did, and he threw far, so his coaches just let him do it. Same thing with like Adam Nelson's really high left foot into the middle. It's same kind of thing. But yeah, let's get to it. So, this is personally probably my favorite throw to watch of him. I consider his prime to be between 2006 and 2009, and I only say that because that was when he had a really good finish. I don't know if he changed coaches or something or had an injury or whatnot, but for some reason he just changed his finish, and I really didn't like it. But in my opinion, but Reese Hoffa is probably my favorite thrower to watch. I don't know. There's just something so pleasing to watch him throw, especially during this time period. So, and I'll list all his accomplishments, his height and weight, and his PB in the video description. But, I mean, as you can see, he's just so fast. And he's not very tall. He's probably around my height, I think, like 5'10" or 6 foot. Not very tall, but so strong, so fast, so athletic. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Probably one of the quickest throwers ever, especially when he was young. Like, I mean, and he's just so compact. Everything is so deliberate, but we'll get into it. All right, so winds, and he really does a really aggressive left, lower left. Turn out the back while keeping his left arm inside the hip. And then this is the interesting part. So if you notice, he gets on his heel there, kind of goes on the side of his foot, and then gets back on the ball of the foot. And I think what this does is, I think why he does that is because, one, it really just stops his left foot. Like, it just stops his left side. And I think it's also because it's just quicker to get around. Now, this is something I would highly not recommend doing unless you just want to try it for the hell of it. And if it works for you, I mean, go ahead, I guess. But, I mean, I feel like there's a reason why he was the only one to ever do this, really. At least that I've seen. Yeah, so what that does is, because he does a heel turn, like he gets such a good like a knee separation here. His hips are so wide. Like his left foot is already there, and his right foot, like his left foot right now is currently facing this way when his right just picked up. So he creates a tremendous amount of stretch reflex going out the back, which really will help him whip around that sweep leg into the middle. So really nice sweep, left, and then left knee drop, just sits. This is just a textbook position. And I think Reese Hoffa is probably one of the main inspirations for Joe Kovacs. There's a VHS video of him on YouTube of a very, very young Joe Kovacs, like when he was first starting, like being coached by Reese Hoffa, like a clinic or something. And it's very fun to watch Joe Kovacs suck, because you don't see that very often, and I think it's a good message. You know, even world champs and second best all times had to start somewhere and learn from your elders. You know, so I think that's a good message. So we get here, really, really nice sweep, and I really do like him. Him bringing in this left elbow right here for him. Now I will say he kind of over rotated a little, but it doesn't really matter when you're going this quick, you know. And I think this is a meet because I have a measuring tape, and he seems to be in a uniform. I don't know exactly what he threw. I think it was probably 22. In his prime, he was very consistent low 22s. And really, really high 21s, like 21.80 to like 21, like 15. And then he obviously had his 22.43. Okay, so we get here. Really low sweep, really low to the ground. But he has his low sweep. So he has a really kind of high, well, not really that high. Normally people with a low sweep won't have this high of a sweep leg at this point. Normally it would have it lower to the ground and just stay low. But I really like him having it higher because it creates a little more stretch and allows for you to have more patience with your chest as you go into the middle. And he holds his chest very well into the middle. Oh, I didn't even finish my thought about this left. Sorry, I didn't even finish my thought about this left arm. So for him, I really like this left arm tuck because it really makes him a lot more compact, and he's probably one of the most compact throwers I've ever seen in terms of his style of throwing. Him and Dylan Armstrong are probably some of the most compact throwers, but I think Reese Hoffa got it over him. So the reason why I like that is because it kind of just speeds him up a little and makes him turn super quick. So he gets a really, really, really nice hip tuck into the middle. So his right foot is facing probably there, so close to the back of the ring. And one of the biggest things that he does really well is his catch. So you notice his right foot comes down and it just keeps turning, and you want to let that right foot keep turning because that makes your left foot get down faster. But you want to make sure you see how he gets this. And the other reason why I really like that bent elbow is because it kind of also, when his right foot touches down, kind of slows his upper body down a little, so it creates a bunch of stretch, and then he elongates it to slow his upper body down even more while not slowing down his lower body, because when the upper body is decelerating, his lower body is accelerating. So that causes him to catch in just a textbook position, just super stacked, head facing towards the camera, just everything so stacked. His left arm is and his shoulders are basically back of the ring, and now he has all this time. And another thing, so he keeps the stiff right heel, and it just doesn't stop. And you notice he doesn't jump. And a lot of people, I think he's probably a really good technical model for the finish. And I think Ourdoor also does this very well, but he just stays on that for so long, and that's what I really like about Reese Hoffa's earlier finishes. Because I think he may have got an injury or something, because later in his career he used to just jump, and he didn't stay as grounded as when he threw really, really far, really consistently, and it really made me sad. But I don't know why he did that. I don't know if it was just a coaching change or he just got older, so he just, stopped doing. I don't know. I don't even want to speculate because I love Reese Hoffa so much, and I just want to remember him for these days. But yeah, really nice. So you see, so he catches here, his right knee goes down and around. Okay, so, not down. It goes out and around. So you'll notice how he gets a little, how it goes out and around. The reason you want to go out and around and not just turn is because when you go out and around, you really push against the ground. Whereas if you just went around, your right foot would just pick up early. So you notice his right foot is not really applying tension until there. And his left foot is on the ground. Now, he does reverse a little too soon, and that's just because he over-rotated. So he's not perfectly down the middle, so his timing is a little off at the finish. But, when you're just a monster like him, who cares, to be quite honest. 22-meter throws, 22-meter throw. Again, I don't know what he even threw here. I'm just assuming it was 22 because of his reaction was just crazy after he released it. But yeah, so really nice turn. And you'll notice that he doesn't shift forward. And that's another thing that he changed later in his career, is he would jump forward. While here he just sits really back. And I think that's a main thing that a lot of modern throwers are doing nowadays, that I think has changed from like the 90s, 80s, and 70s, where they used to just jump and really use strength. Well, Reese Hoffa was probably, out of the big three of this era, really probably stayed the most grounded. Well, probably him and Cantwell. Adam Nelson, kind of, a little. But really nice finish, and keeps holding his head. There's famous pictures of Reese Hoffa, and his eyes are still on the shot. And that's the thing I really also want to say, is you don't really want your head to stay with the shot, because that slows down your release and doesn't let you get that out over the toe board. But what you want to do is keep your eyes on the shot put upon release, because what that does is it doesn't allow you to pull. It doesn't allow you to pull away, so you still get a very good finish while still reaching out and not slowing down your finish. And I think that's a thing that Reese Hoffa does really well, really well. You'll see very few elite shot putters actually hold like square throughout the entire throw, especially like 22 plus meter guys. But you'll notice in almost all their pictures, their eyes are still watching it leave their hand. And then a really nice reverse. Textbook reverse. Right foot. So left foot grounds here. Right foot replaces it, so he got all his energy through it. And just super on balance, just a nice easy save. And again, that's because he stayed over his right. And another thing you'll notice that I think he does really well is he does not extend his right knee. He keeps it bent. You look at any elite level reverser, they will never extend their right knee. What they'll do is they will lock out their left knee. You'll notice on elite non-reversers, they'll keep both knees bent, and that's because the second you extend a knee, you will be in the air. And in a non-reverse, you want to stay grounded. You never want to be in the air, else you'll just reverse. But what you don't want to do is extend both knees. So I like to call this a hybrid reverse. So you do a non-reverse reverse. And Vastinus Tyson was a very big proponent of this. You see it a lot with Gerd Kanter and Daniel Stahl. Daniel Stahl a little more. How they just stay grounded. Also Wolfgang Schmidt, who I might also do a video on, because I think Wolfgang Schmidt is also very underrated. Well, that's another video for another day. But so and it's hard to see in this angle, but he locks that left knee while keeping the right knee bent. So what that does is he's pushing back with his left while pushing forward with his right, so he stays straight while extending over. And this allows him to stay in the ring while he reverses. Whereas if he was to just extend both knees, he would either fall that way or fall backwards. But here because he doesn't extend that right knee and just turns it while extending the left knee at the last second. And it's important to not do it too early or too late. You have to time it just right. So he extends it right there, right when he's about to throw. And what also the extension of the left knee does is it creates a tremendous lower body block and really just gets everything into that right side. So I really like that. And I think this finish in particular is a really good example of how you should reverse. And you'll see how quick he is at that finish. Can't even see that really. And I know you'll probably just say that's because of the quality. But I mean, he just gets out of his hand and goes. And it's important to notice he gets out of his hand, but he stays on it. A lot of people want to try and throw too early, but you'll notice with most elite shot putters, they try and keep it in their hand as long as possible. Okay? You don't want to just short strike a shot put. Randy Barnes, I think, was notorious for that. And whenever Randy Barnes did not short strike a shot, he would throw 22 plus meters. And when he did short strike it, he would throw like 20. Alright? So, and you'll just see, boom, just stays on it. And in one frame, it's basically out of his hand. I mean, that's just beautiful right there. And notice how his head is still facing the direction he throws. Like his eyes, I could bet $1 million his eyes are still looking at the shot. There's a famous video of him in the 2008 Olympics. Of him just watching that shot forever. I mean, ooh, that's beautiful. That's textbook. That's something I'm trying to work on in my throw right now, because I have a bad problem of finishing too early in the shot. And it's taking probably like a meter off my throw, because I'm not getting that much energy into it. So that's something I'm going to really be working on a lot this off season and in the season. But I just wanted to make a video of Reese Hoffa because I think he's being criminally underrated in the throwers community. And I know you'll probably say, oh, why is someone that's a world champ and Olympic medalist and someone who's top 25 all time like underrated? I'm just like, because I don't know, whenever I hear like the greatest shot putters ever, and not to say that he belongs in those conversations, but I think just like the whole 2000, like mid-2000s era with like Adam Nelson, Cantwell, and Reese, because they all had very unconventional styles, but I think they set the tone for what shot put is today. And I think that's the reason why, and he was probably the worst. Well, I shouldn't say worst. He probably wasn't. He was probably out of the three. He did have the lowest PR. he doesn't have as many accolades as them. He hasn't thrown as far that much compared to them either. So, but he, in my opinion, was the most consistent out of all of them. And I think that's because his technique was a lot more repeatable and a lot more kind of basic, I guess, besides that left heel turn, compared to Cantwell and Adam Nelson. So that's really why I want to, you really, when you pick technical models and stuff, you want to find someone who's been consistent through their career, because that means they have a technique that works. You never want to really look at someone as a technical model that's just super, that has maybe like one far throw and then never throws close to that again, because that's not a repeatable technique, because they can't repeat it. You know, someone like Reese Hoffa, who's consistent 2180 to low 22, that's a pretty consistent throw, especially for how long of a career he had. You know, he competed up until the 2016 Olympic trials. So that's a pretty long career, especially for a shot putter, because out of all the throwing events, shot putters tend to have the shortest usually. Maybe besides Jav. But yeah, so I'll put his accolades, his PB, and his height and weight in the video description, and I hope you guys learned some, and let me know if you want me to do a thrower in the comments, like someone that you think's underrated, or someone you just want me to analyze or something. But yeah, see y'all later.